Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
To this edition of Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast. I am your host, Richard Franzi, and this is podcast episode number 1260, and it is our 1573rd interview. And we've saved the best for last, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you that. Just hold on for a second. We've been on the air since March of 2009. We're the longest-running business podcast from Orange County, California. Today we're broadcasting live from the studios of OCTalkRadio.net. A metalworking tool supply company with expertise in productivity. That's what makes all industrial tool supply stand out from all the rest. They strive and aim to become the #1 trusted source for all your tool needs. And it's all built on a friendly, knowledgeable, trusting service and support. All Industrial is one of the fastest growing companies in the industry and has been featured 4 years running, both in the Inc. 5000 list, as well as the Orange County Business Journal's list of privately held fast-growing companies. That's why I've invited Jeff Perry, who's president and founder, to share more. Also, when I say we save the best for last, it's because in addition to all those other awards, they were selected as the SBA 2019 Small Business for the state of California. Jeff, welcome to Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast.
That's great to be here. Thank you.
I'm excited to have you here. I first came across you and your company when you were selected by the SBA, and so we're going to get to that in a little bit. But before we do that, tell us, I read about the firm in the open, but from your perspective, what makes your company unique?
Well, so All Industrial Tool Supply is a distributor of metalworking tools and industrial supplies. So, you know, we don't actually make anything. So we constantly have to innovate and say, how are we going to take these same products that our competitors can also deliver, and how are we going to get them faster to our customers, low cost. And so, you know, we're constantly looking for new ways to get better and improve. But you know, I've got one of the best teams in the industry, honestly, and we're one of the fastest growth companies, like you've mentioned.
Yeah.
Growth is part of our DNA. We're constantly, looking for new ways, new suppliers, better tools. Our customers have some of the most expensive real estate on earth. Inside of these big the metalworking mills or lathes is some of the most expensive real estate on earth. Somebody can spend upwards of $1 million and have 30 to 50 square feet that they're actually working with. And
Wow.
so, what we do and what our challenge is to keep those machines, running with the most productive tools and equipment possible.
How did you get into this?
Sort of by, accident. I was working for a wine distributor for a long time, and that didn't pan out. So just kind of stumbled into this industry. Worked for another distributor for about 10 years, and
In sales?
yes, in
Okay.
sales and development.
Okay.
It was an upstart e-com type of company.
Mm-hmm.
And, right there in the Great Recession, 2009, 2010, had to make
Wow.
some life decisions. Had just gotten married and decided that I'd wanted more. And so, took $3,000, invested it, and turned it into the company that it is today. So,
Wow. 3,000. I love it when we talk to an entrepreneur and you've bootstrapped the growth, I take it?
yes, absolutely.
So all the growth you've invested in, the growth of the business has
Yep.
come from. So, who are your clients? What, we hear on the radio show, we like say, what's the niches in which you serve? So from an educational perspective, who are your clients?
So we've got a pretty diverse customer base. So, I guess right here in Orange County where the company's based, there's a pretty diverse manufacturing environment. So, aerospace, this is the capital of
Right.
aerospace, really, just in terms of manufacturing. So there's still a ton of manufacturing companies like, let's see, Boeing and Virgin Galactic and some of these upstart, rocket companies. SpaceX gives out a lot of work to small and medium-sized
Yes, they
machine
do.
shops.
Yeah.
And so that's our customer base here locally. We also have a very robust e-commerce business too. So We've got a storefront on Amazon, on eBay, and we've got our own website, allindustrial.com, that serves the manufacturing community and also home hobbyists too. That's an industry that I really didn't know existed when I started the company, and there's this growing group of people with maybe they've gotten a machine handed down to them or something. They've got a machine in their garage and they just like to tinker.
Really?
Yeah, those people buy products from us all day long.
Okay, but these are machines that are used for metal working.
Right.
So there are home hobbyists who have some type of a metalworking machine in their garage.
Yeah. In fact, a lot of people started their manufacturing business out of their garage. But you also have people that just like to tinker and make spare parts in their spare time.
Cool. So this is interesting. We're talking about a manufacturing base in Southern California, which many people thought would have left here long ago, because there was somewhat of an exodus of some of the aerospace companies to the other states, let's say, not in Southern California. But what you're saying is there's still a rich, because you just don't sell in Southern California, but even here in Orange County and in Southern California, there's still a strong manufacturing base that you use to build your client portfolio from.
Right. I mean, our customer base is fairly aerospace heavy, but just in terms of medical device,
medical device.
Innovation here in South Orange County, there's a ton of that. I mean, really, every industry, motorcycles, I guess automobile wheel manufacturing. I mean, there's so much here that you never know about, unless you're out there, inside these business parks like we are.
Right, and you like that?
Oh, it's great.
You like that?
Yeah. No, I love seeing how people can create, a really intricate part out of
high tolerance.
Out of just a piece of, out of just like a block of aluminum. It's incredible what people can do.
Right. Do you like the smell of oil in the air then when you go into these shops? You smell a little bit of
Yeah, I'm kind of getting over that, to be honest.
Okay.
But what I like to see is getting into, just into a project and where our customer sees value in using us. So we'll get the call when someone's cutting aluminum, let's say, and they go to something like titanium or Inconel that's much harder than what they normally cut, and they just say, hey, I don't know what to do. What am I doing here? And so that's our challenge, is to get in there and to give them the type of cutting tools. They're much different from from one material to another.
Right. So when we're talking about tools that your company provides, it's the tool. Some of them are the tools that are actually used touching the metal that's being formed and shaped, right?
Right, that's correct.
And so those are high precision parts, and probably they wear out,
right?
Because they're touching hard metals. They don't last forever, do they?
No, they don't. And that's great about selling, consumables. It's the razor blade model. Hopefully, we can get them, using us and trusting us, and and then we can help them in other ways too.
So I want to get into kind of some of the growth questions that I have, but I can't go any further until I come back to the fact that you were selected by the Small Business Association as the 2019 Small Business of the Year for the state of California. The Inc. 5000, the Orange County Business Journal, fastest growing, those are great validations that your business model is scaling. What is it that took you to, one, apply to the SBA for this award, and two, to be selected? What did they say when they called? How did you hear?
I actually got a letter from Linda McMahon, who at the time was the administrator of the SBA. So it's not all that often that you get an envelope or the FedEx envelope from a cabinet level position. So that was pretty cool. I opened it, and it was quite the moment. It was really neat.
Did you apply?
Yes, I did. So, what the SBA was looking for, so it doesn't mean that, that we're the best run business. We're not. It doesn't mean that we're the fastest growth business in California. We're not. But, what it does mean is that we utilized SBA resources effectively to help grow the business. And so that's what they were looking for, is somebody that had used, the SBA to grow the business.
Right. And what has that done for your business?
So, it's been incredible. Just, getting out there and meeting a lot of people, getting in front of a lot of neat groups, and, just getting the word out about what we're doing. But, I think what I really enjoy most is talking about just how I was able to use, the SBA. To be honest, when I first started the company, I really didn't know much about what I was going to do, with the company. I just know that I needed to do something, so I did it. and then I woke up and I just said, hey, it's working. What can I do to pour some gas on this? And so I started looking for other resources out there. Came across the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program.
Right.
And also there's, for the SBA, there's an Emerging Leaders Program. So I applied for that. There's like a mini MBA on the business. And so it just really helped me understand, like, what do I need to do to focus on growing the business? What do I need to learn in order to become more effective as a leader of the company?
Yeah, there's a lot of times that entrepreneurs' first order of business is to replace your income stream. Right. I just want to create a business that gives me a job, so I can pay my bills. Right. And then once you satiate that need, then you start to realize maybe I've got a company here, and that sounds like kind of the journey that you were on.
Yeah, what happened for me is the company really took off, and I just became so involved in the day-to-day tasks and the order entry and the quoting that it was really hard to get outside of that. And so, honestly, one of my great fears as a leader of the company is that the company is going to outgrow my ability to lead it. So I've always been looking for ways to learn and to grow. I'm just a regular guy that started this. I wouldn't say I'm some gifted entrepreneur. I'm not, but I think I'm working harder maybe than the next guy, and I've got a great team that's now able to really get us.
Companies can't outgrow their leader. Right. The leader's got to always be a step ahead. Yeah, and that's a challenge in today's environment. Okay, well, we're talking with the founder and president of All Industrial Tool Supply. He is Jeff Perry. I told you we saved the best for last. This is the last show on Critical Mass Radio Show and Podcast for the decade, ladies and gentlemen, and Jeff Perry is our guest. So because you've been growing, I wanted to ask you, can you think about, was there a strategic decision that you or the team made that looking back on it, you go, well, that was really, I'm glad we decided that because that was sort of foundational for the ability of the company to scale?
Honestly, I think that's really only happened in the last couple of years. We had grown quite a bit despite ourselves. And, I'm not going to say it's luck. It wasn't, because we worked hard and we were doing the right things, but we didn't have a plan in place. We didn't really know what are we working towards. And so that's something that's relatively new for us and this just started 2 years ago, is having an offsite planning meeting and really coming into the year with goals and objectives. And honestly, we hadn't done that up until recently. The company was in business for 8 years until we really had a strategic plan. And the Goldman Sachs program, the SBA program also helped us to understand the things that we need to work on, but we were still working towards this goal and this vision that and it was just unifying everybody and getting everybody on board too. That was what I think it's really made the biggest difference for us.
So I'm going to ask Paul to play the gong, because having the gong, for our loyal listeners, when you hear that sound, that if you weren't fully engaged in the conversation for the past maybe minute to 90 seconds, you want to go back on your podcast and pick up what Jeff's answer to my question about strategic decisions that allowed him to grow. And don't forget, this is the SBA's Business of the Year for 2019 in the state of California. He has some credibility with us all here because of his track record. If you were to give an advice or a suggestion to other entrepreneurs that are leading fast-growing companies, is there some sage advice that you'd like to pass on to them, Jeff Perry?
Well, I still feel like I'm learning every day, but I think one thing that's made the biggest difference for me is joining a peer learning network. I'm doing that through the SCORE organization. And, once a month we get together to talk about the issues that we're all dealing with. And what's really interesting about a group like this is, you can sit in a room with people that own very different businesses, restaurants or construction companies, whatever it might be. But, at the end of the day, you often have the same challenges. And so that's, I would say look for opportunities to learn within, I guess a network environment.
Right.
Also, I think it's really important to attend conferences and just to read about the industry. Things are evolving very quickly now. Even in a pretty old and stale environment like manufacturing, things are really starting to evolve. And, you need to be out there listening to people talk about what they see coming. And, I think that's what's made a real difference for me.
That's great. We're big advocates of peer learning here on Critical Mass Radio Show. Part of the reason why I do this show is to give a virtual peer group for people to learn from each other. So thank you for sharing that. We all have challenges, Jeff Perry, and I'd like to ask you to think about and maybe share a challenging aspect for the company right now and help our audience to understand that everything's not perfect for you right now. I'm sure you have things you're wanting to get done.
Sure. Oh, sure. Yeah, no, let's see how much time you got.
Well, about 3 minutes.
Okay, well, I'll try and be quick. While we do a lot of things well, we're in the middle of a bit of an evolution of our company. Our company was fueled by e-commerce, and our challenge is to, if we're going to take this next leg of growth, really it's to get back to the basics and to better understand and listen to what our local customers are asking of us, and to innovate with some new services. So again, as a manufacturer that doesn't make anything, we've got to be different than the next company. Otherwise, we're the same. And so, our biggest challenge right now is just we're very inward, thinking and looking for opportunities to evolve the company. It needs to evolve if it's going to grow. The evolution is a little painful, I'll be honest.
Right.
It's also developing employees too. Our growth has, we've just been so busy that we've been too involved in the day-to-day type of things, just trying to hold on for dear life sometimes. Sure. Because it's been so busy. And so we really haven't done a great job, and this is a reflection of me and how I'm trying to grow, but I haven't done a great job of developing the people around me, and while I work with some talented people that work very hard, I need to give them better resources to grow, and so that's one thing that I'm really focused on right now.
Yeah, isn't that? Thank you for the candid answer, because I find all too often what got us here doesn't get us to where we want to go,
right.
And it's this tension between leveraging what you've done well and what you do well, and being willing to change things to do things better in the future. Because now that you have this organization, there's more at risk of making the wrong decision, right?
Absolutely.
In the early days, you can throw everything around because it doesn't matter. But now you have a track record, and you have how many people?
17.
Okay, so that's a pressure too, right? That's a big responsibility. Final question? Well, it's actually the pre-final question. We call it the guiding principle question here in Critical Mass, and that is, of all the things, Jeff, you've learned in your professional career, do you have a set of guiding principles or philosophies that you're using to lead and grow the culture of your company?
So, to be quite honest, culture is something that really took me a while to understand. And in the early years of the company, it wasn't a focus. And so, at the end of the day, I want this to be a nice place to work. I want the company, and this is probably a different mindset than what a lot of other entrepreneurs or business owners have, but I really want my company to be a vehicle for my employees to achieve their own dreams and goals. And so it's okay if they're only going to be there for just a couple of years. I love to hire college students because they just come in, they work hard, they're working towards a goal, so they're goal oriented.
Right.
And it's okay if they leave and go off and do something else. And while they're there, hopefully they will contribute to what we're doing, but also we can contribute to where they're going to. So I really want this company to be that vehicle that helps people get to where they want to go. And ultimately, if they want to stay, which I think most of them have,
That's good.
We've got a very low turnover. It's a very rewarding and rich place for them to work. We celebrate the little things. We get together as a company and all have lunch on somebody's anniversary every year for every employee. I think that's really important to do, and it's doing the little things right. And so while we're not perfect, I'm not perfect. We're always trying to do those types of things to make it a really nice environment. And just on the business or customer-facing side, we want our customer interactions with us to be the easiest part of their day. So, we really work hard for our customers, and that's our goal, is to just be really easy to deal with. Just say yes whenever we can, even if it's painful sometimes.
Right. Well, that sounds like one of the secret sauces of why the company has been able to sustain the growth that you've enjoyed over the past years. And you're going to come back on the show in the future, a year, 3 years, 5 years, I don't know, at some point. What's going to be different?
I think what'll be different about us is we'll have multiple locations, and we'll really be involved in service. We're looking at some innovative ways we can better connect to our customers. This industry moves pretty slow traditionally, but things are changing, and so I think we're going to have, just depending on when you have me back, but I think we're going to have more people, but I think we'll be delivering a higher level of service.
So you got energy for this?
Yes, I love it.
You love it?
Yes.
You made a good decision?
I did.
Did you imagine those years ago when you decided this is what you were going to try, that you'd be here today with the accolades and the business that you've created?
No, absolutely not. When I started the company, it was more just out of necessity, just needing to do something. Right. So it was hard to just imagine kind of what the future held. But, it's been one of the best decisions of my life, and I love it every day. Well,
I appreciate you being on the show and sharing your history and your experience and your insights with my audience. Thank you, Jeff Perry.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
So if somebody would like to learn more about All Industrial Tool Supply, how do they find you online?
They can find us at allindustrial.com. They can find us on LinkedIn and all the other social channels.
Great. Well, thank you.
All right, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I'd like to thank Mr. Paul Roberts for being the engineer for today's show, and my 3 producers, without whom we could not have done the roughly 100 shows that we did here in 2019. They are Joan Park, Crystal Nunley, and our newest producer, just off camera here to my right, Vanessa Holland. If you'd like to connect with me, I'd say let's start on LinkedIn. I'm Richard Franzi, spelled Franzi. Until our next show, which is next year, next decade, next month, whatever, January, I hope all of your business decisions will move your company in a positive direction.
You have been listening to Critical Mass Radio Show Business Talk Show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.